This video is being made for the sole purpose of making your model railroad experience just a little bit easier. And I'm doing it with some of these. My name's Jimmy, I'm drinking some breakfast blended coffee, and this is Coffee and Trains. This video is brought to you by Model Railroad Academy. Model Railroad Academy is your online resource for model railroad instructions, ideas, and information, with loads of tutorials and articles for model railroaders of every skill level. One of my personal favorites is Alan Keller's Great Model Railroads series. It is just so much fun to look at all of these different model railroads from all of these different great model railroaders and just get inspiration from those. Plus, you can find tutorials on everything from bench work to electronics to scenery, all sorts of things there. The first 1,000 people to sign up at the link in the description below will get a full year of premium membership to Model Railroad Academy for $1.49. Offer is valid for new members only. If you want to tell me what kind of coffee you're drinking and have me featured just like these guys right down here, you can do that in the comments below, and who knows, you might see your name pop up on an episode of Coffee and Trains. Cheers, guys. We're talking wire connections today. I know that sounds boring, but stick with me. I got some good info for you. Wiring can be one of the biggest hassles of model railroading, and if you're like me and have a modular or temporary setup, it can be even worse. So you need connections that are not only going to be stable, but are going to be able to be taken apart and moved somewhere. So I've got quite a few criteria for how I wire things, and I found quite a few connectors that I have right here that work well for this. And get this, they're all reusable connectors. Now I'm going to be doing stuff from two different industries, that is Wago and Ideal Industries, and we're going to be starting off with Ideal. This connector is one that I've been using for ages, and it is a power plug from Ideal Industries. Now you may say it doesn't look that special, but check this out. It is its own little plug right there. It holds very strongly together. It has a male and female end, and it has wire markings for black and white that are so that you don't get your wires mixed up when you're doing stuff, which is very important, obviously, especially for DCC systems, but electricity in general. And these are great for DCC bus lines, especially between modules and things like that. The only thing you need to make sure is that you have some sort of standard for which side is the male side and which side is the female side of your modules if you're going to use these. But overall, these are fantastic little connectors. They hold really well. I've used these for years. They're a little bit on the expensive side, but they are just something that I could not live without, and I have tons of them dating back many railroads that I've built. Sticking with Ideal, I have these push-in wire connectors right here. Again, they are totally reusable, and they come in multiple sizes. This has 3 different connections, and all you do is you push your wires in and they connect right up. These are great for doing little splice outs where you have to like take something out from the bus line and send it out to a feeder or something. So let's say you're connecting some track feeders to the bus line. You can cut the bus line, stick 2 in there, and then have the track feeder go on the 3rd. Again, you can have multiple units. You can have more than 3 or 4. There's quite a few different variations of this. But again, these are totally reusable so long as you're using solid wire, and they are absolutely amazing, and I absolutely love them. So this is another thing that I use a lot, specifically within the modules, and they're just a lot easier than having to do either suitcase connectors or using things like doing like cutting apart and soldering and splicing and things like that. This is just so much easier to do it that way. Another one from Ideal is going to be this, the splicer. Now this is a great way to connect additional wires. Let's say you need to connect more wire, or you made a little oopsie and you need to take something that's been cut and put it back together, obviously splicing, and you just push in from one side and the other, and boom, you have a spliced wire. These are invaluable, especially when you need to make modifications to your bus line, make it longer, or fix a cut that you previously had in it. I absolutely love these. These are great to just have in a little toolbox, which I do. I kind of keep them in a little bin, and I can just grab them whenever I can. This has saved me a lot of time and a lot of headaches versus having to break out the soldering iron or the heat gun to do some heat shrinking or anything like that. These are simply awesome, and again, reusable with solid wire. Now we're going to switch over to Wago, and Wago makes my absolute favorite. I have used a bunch of these of different sizes on this layout right here, and that is these push lever nuts. And I have 2 different sizes right here. I have a 3-position one and a 5-position one, so you can do 3 different wires in this one and 5 different wires in this one, and they work very similar to the push-in connectors, except for one thing. They have these levers that you can pull up that allow it for you to push the wire in very easily, and then when you're ready for them to be locked in place, you just click them all down and there you go. And you can do each wire individually, or you can do them all at the same time, whatever you want. These are amazing for little buses and things like that where you need to have a lot of wires coming out. Let's say you have a bunch of wire connections, say for a yard, or you need to split off the bus in multiple directions. These are fantastic for that, because while you're doing that and while you're testing, you may have wired up something incorrectly, and yes, the push-in connectors will work great, but these will work even better because you'll be able to make modifications to it and get things right. If you find an issue, these are going to be your most troubleshooting friendly connectors that I'm going to show you today. These are Wago push lever nuts, and I know a bunch of people already use these in model railroading, and I've got notes about saying use Wago connectors, and I do use them. And these are simply just, I absolutely love these, and there are a lot of them on this layout behind the scenes, and they're just phenomenal. I can't recommend them enough. Now, those can be a little bit expensive, and if you want a cheaper alternative, you can always just pick up some wire nuts. These are pretty cheap, and with a little bit of electrical tape, they can be pretty reliable. They won't be quite as reliable as some of these connectors, especially when you have several wires coming together, but they're not bad. And I do have wire nuts all over this layout as well. I've got quite a few connections. So basically, the whole thing about this that really spurred on this video is I started using these connectors because I started looking at time with my model railroad as a very finite resource. I'm a father of two, I have a full-time career, and I'm very, very busy. So the time that I have with my model railroad is very precious to me because I don't get a ton of it. And what I wanted to do was save more time for the things that I consider fun, like doing scenery and doing trains and doing like Arduino projects and that. And the things that I want to do for like bus wiring and that kind of stuff, I want to be able to do it quickly, I want to be able to do it properly, and I want to be able to do it once. And these connectors, while a little bit more expensive, are going to save me a lot of time. Sure, I could go through the process of splicing and soldering and heat shrinking the wires, but whereas it may take me 15-20 minutes to do a couple of connections, I can do it in just 2 or 3 minutes with my quick connectors that I've just shown you here. So I'm getting that time back to do the things that I enjoy in model railroading, and this is different for everybody. Some of you may enjoy that type of work, and that's your part of the hobby that you really enjoy, but I want to be able to do that once and do it properly and do it quickly, and this is how I am doing it. So I like to hear some of the things that you guys use for wiring the different connectors, because there are a ton of electrical connectors out there. These are just the ones that I use the most now. And I also want to hear what you guys do to save time for the fun things in model railroading, because I know there's a bunch of you out there that have a limited time with your model railroad just like I do. So let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.